Geoffrey was starting his sophomore year at Columbia University. He was walking across Broadway, returning to his dorm.
I was in Manhattan, and I was hit by a car.
And he was struck by a drunk driver. The details were the call in the middle of the night saying there was an accident, rushing to the hospital, and finding out that it was a brain injury. And I remember the neurosurgeon said brain stem, and I didn't know what that meant at the time.
I was for an ICU, intensive care.
He was in a coma. It took about 60 days for him to start to have some purposeful movement. He was not able to speak at the time. He would utter a few words under his breath that were inaudible, but the gains really stopped after about 6 months.
He had a terrible, terrible tremor, and so he couldn't do a lot of things for himself. He had no short-term memory. If you had gone to visit him, he wouldn't have had a clue.
The end of my teenage years are a blur because of my memory deficit.
He couldn't feed himself, and he couldn't keep his head up, and he was just sort of slumped over in a wheelchair.
It took a lot of time for me to understand what the implications were in Geoffrey's entire life.
This is an amazing place, especially when you have history to compare and contrast.
I've been in Missouri, Georgia, Salem, Pennsylvania.
At some of these other facilities that exist, and maybe it's different today because there are laws and whatnot, the way they deal with these young men and women is by drugging them and by restraining them and putting them in closets, and they end up like animals. And I used to visit Jeff every month, and I had first-hand experience. So here is like 180 degrees.
Ability Beyond Disability, I think, is set apart from other organizations, in my eyes, in my 16 years of being here, because of the amount of care, I think, that goes into working with each person as an individual. And I think the caring and the continuity of care that the staff are able to provide really set us apart from other agencies.
It's close to home, whereas my previous locations were distant.
Geoffrey came here in August of 1994, and I remember it clearly. He was in college when he had his accident, and it was very hard for him. He kept remembering what his life used to be like.
He's an extremely, extremely intelligent, genuine, and charismatic fella. He's very funny. I think he's achieved things that he hasn't achieved in other locations, and I think that finally he's found a place where he can have a wonderful quality of life and finally have a little peace with himself.
I pay attention to the guys. There's 6 different guys in the house, and none of them are alike. And we treat all of them individually and be sure that they get the attention of all of us.
We find that they like to be together, they like to live in the same environment, they learn differently.
Rich Drive is a community residence. It's basically a home that you would find in any neighborhood on any street. They all come here for the same purpose. Daily living skill services, it could be vocational services, educational services, medical, OT, PT.
I don't have to call and say, has Geoffrey seen an eye doctor or a dentist? It automatically, routinely gets taken care of.
Jeffrey's schedule varies from day to day. Typically he has a one-to-one staff that works with him, Milton, each day of the week.
Wednesdays, I'll take him to the grocery store, and we'll usually make a list. Like I'll just have him open the fridge, and based on the things that he already gets or something that he might want to get, we just make a list about it.
Milton is great. He is like a one-to-one relationship with Milton.
He can pretty much do all his own shopping. I kind of just assist him and maybe, keep track of the amount of money that he's spending. But all in all, he pretty much does a lot for himself.
He really just likes whatever it is that I like. He is very pliable.
When I'm here, I have a lot of fun. These guys are like my family, especially Jeff.
When you come here, you are like one of the family.
It's a team. It's a team, and I don't believe for a second that they would treat their own family any differently than with the care that they give Jeff.
Geoffrey's like my brother. He's so much like me. We've grown up with the same interests. We have the same interests now. We can relate to each other on so many levels that when I work with him every day, it's not like working with him. It's like talking to someone who I care a great deal about and who I just want to see be successful and I want to see happy at the end of every day.
We joke around, we have our ups and downs emotionally, and we're there just like for a brother or for a sister or for anyone in a family. We're there for everyone.
You don't feel like you are a client.
One day we were in the car and I was having a bad day, and like he didn't really see it, but like I guess he felt it, and he just looked at me and he actually tapped my leg and he was like, I just want to let you know, he's like, I really do trust you, and if I'm gonna put my life in anyone's hands, I'd like that it's yours.
Because of their ability to relate to us, you know, we need to relate to them as humans and basically put ourselves in their shoes every day and say, you know, how would I feel if this had happened to me or my family member?
Just pretend for a second that this person could be you.
A lot of these guys, Jeff, you know, he had a normal life. He knew what life was. He did what you and I do.
I think people with traumatic brain injury have a bad reputation sometimes. I think people think they can't learn and they can't grow.
They might have a few challenges throughout the day, but I mean, all in all, they're just like you and me.
People are usually blown away when they meet him. They don't realize how well he functions on a day-to-day basis. They don't realize his intelligence level. They don't realize that they can sit down at a game of Trivial Pursuit with him and he's going to beat them. That he's going to be aware of who's running for president. They don't realize that even with the head injury, he still is caring and considerate, and that because he has some special needs, that only challenges him. It doesn't stop him.
We have people that have gone out and are competitively employed, get their driver's license, get married, have children. The possibilities are endless.
I come here every day and I know that I'm helping somebody, helping 6 guys have a better life.
I get the pay as an incentive, but I do this because it's from the heart and I want to be there.
We all fear people who aren't like us. I did before Geoffrey's accident. We tend to shy away from people who have disabilities because it's uncomfortable. But when you get to know these people and you realize, yes, they have deficits, but they have so much that they've retained. In Geoffrey's case, he was a highly intelligent young man. He's still a highly intelligent young man.
They're human beings. You know, even though they might walk with a limp or have a little tremor, their life still goes on. What they say and do is still very important, and touch other people's lives, even with their disabilities.
He really has come such a long way. It's hard for someone to fathom.
I've been around the nation, and ability beyond disability is by far the most relaxed as well as most helpful assistance I have received.
I don't know what we'd do without ability beyond disability. Brain injury, head trauma, all these things, they are tricky, tricky things. And I've seen the kind of places that exist out there. And this is just, it's very hard for me to describe. It's just better.
Things may never be the way they were, but they will change and they will improve over time if in the right environment.
If anything happened to me, in a heartbeat, this is where I would want to get help.
They're like family. You live with friends, and that's the way it is here. You live with friends.